if you're hyper masculine, you're not gonna have empathy when you speak. You're not gonna see it from a woman's point of view. Vaughn just said it, even going through a divorce. When you look up why divorces actually happen, it has nothing to do with money, which I'll talk about a lot. It has not even really domestic violence. A lot of women in marriage say they aren't happy. Happy does not necessarily mean being happy every day. They're not at peace. They feel unheard. They don't feel like they're listened to. Back to what Swinny and Vaughn was kind of talking about, like how women don't take an accountability. In the sense that Vaughn and Aisha was speaking, I understand to a certain extent. I've had friends like that, but when I talk to my friends, when I first speak to them, this is because I think men, they take it personal and be like, oh, she don't respect me as a leader because she's being combative, or they can't get through to her right away. But women are like that, period. If you don't understand women, just say that. When I have to get through to my friends, it's not just one conversation in order to get her to change a behavior pattern. I have to have multiple conversations. Even when I talk, and then it gets to the point where they like, well, maybe you should talk to him. Now I'm talking to her guy, and he once I speak to him, I can hear what he's trying to say to her, but he doesn't know how to communicate with women. So now I have to girlify it to the woman. And she's like, oh, now I get what he was trying to say. I understand it. I can change it. I think it's a lack of communication, and I do feel like it have a lot to do on the leader's part, because if you're hyper masculine, you're not going to have empathy when you speak. You're not going to see it from a woman's point of view. Vaughn just said it, even going through a divorce. When you look up why divorces actually happen, it has nothing to do with money, which I'll talk about a lot. It has not even really domestic violence. A lot of women in marriage say they aren't happy. Happy does not necessarily mean being happy every day. They're not at peace. They feel unheard. They don't feel like they're listened to. Vaughn just said it, and still, like Ali said, a lot of the panel overlook it. I don't know how many women come on here telling men, hey, I don't feel like I'm being heard. This man didn't listen. It's like y'all overlook that part so much and don't realize that plays a big part in communication. I feel like when men feel like they can't communicate with a woman, instead of finding different avenues of and forms of communication, he just like, fuck it. And it's like, okay, cool. Now you're responsible. Don't just blame her because you said fucking and didn't want to learn how to communicate. But I do agree with, like I said, with Vaughn and Aisha. I do feel like women initially be like, hey, I don't think they purposely just like, oh, he's the problem. He's the problem. A lot of women don't really understand how they're the problem. And you have to break it down to them and find a way to put themselves in that man's shoes in order for them to gain an understanding. And once I've seen that, I've seen people make it work with their baby daddy. I've seen people working saying, I want to continue to make it work with this marriage. So for men to just be like, women just don't listen, as if y'all just know how to communicate y'all emotions automatically, even though y'all know that y'all single mothers didn't allow y'all to do that, even though y'all know the community don't allow y'all to experience that emotion, for y'all to act like that doesn't play a part on your communication is wild to me.
Di, who said that women just don't listen? And
No, they
regarding just the Vaughn situation, who said women just don't listen?
what you mean, like
No,
just don't listen? I thought y'all was
But
talking about taking accountability
right.
no, so
when y'all two was
we
speaking.
know we understand that in
Mhm.
relationships, both people play a factor in what goes on in a relationship. So when we were speaking to Vaughn, there was no conversation about whether she listened or not. It was all like, as a matter of fact, one of the very first things I did was understand that she's might not be heard by her husband, which is fair. Some women may feel that way. We only got one half of the story. We don't know his. That's why I asked her, have y'all tried this? Have y'all spoke to him? And she said, no, he don't believe in that. And I said, well, what if we was able to get through to him? She already told us she's willing to save her marriage if we can get through to her in her marriage and talk to him. The very thing that you said that you did for your friend, sometimes it does take an outside voice to intervene and be able to, just like it takes an outside voice sometimes for us to come to you and say, hey, look, your man is trying to tell you this. Do you understand now? And sometimes y'all be like, oh, damn, now I understand what he was trying to tell me.
But Sweeney,
And
do
can
you
we
understand
take a
that?
moment?
Hold
Can we
on, I was
take a
talking to
moment
Sweeney.
and
Hold on,
let
Will.
Vaughn
Hold on,
know?
Will. Hold on, Will. I was talking to Sweeney. Sweeney, do you understand that men sometimes need an outside voice too? And most of
That's
the
what he
time in the
just said.
relationships, men don't like when women go outside.
Right.
Don't be telling our business to them. Men don't go and ask for help. Men just think they know it all, just like y'all. A lot of men on this
Right.
panel,
Sometimes,
y'all just
yes.
think y'all know it all.
Right. Yes, I can admit. Sometimes people feel like that nobody should be involved in their relationship. You want to know that comes from a fear. That comes from a fear that we are often told the moment you let people into your relationship, that's how your relationship fall apart. The problem is we're already dealing with a relationship that has fallen apart. We're not talking about a relationship that's going well and you introduce people into your business. We're talking about an issue where their relationship is falling apart. At that point, we have to start we have
throw
to
the
get
playbook
past,
out the window.
we have to get past this whole idea that I even admit it. Maybe he needs to, I just said maybe he needs somebody else to come to him and explain to him, hey, maybe she's trying to say this. Have you thought about this from her perspective? But we don't know his side. I'm just asking her questions about I just simply asked her if we can get through to your husband, is this salvageable? Because I will rather work on that than to have a general conversation about who's at fault. It doesn't fucking matter because it's her marriage that's on the line right now.
But Sweeney, listen to what you just said though. You said that if when I look at relationships, and even the women on here can admit it, we don't have a problem with telling our friends and asking for help when we feel like we need help. Men don't ask for help when they need help.
How would you know that?
You don't know that.
Because when I talk, because this is me talking. I've talked to men in relationships. When
You
I'm
don't,
talking to them,
but you don't talk to all men.
But
Can I interrupt on that?
But most
Can I
men.
interrupt on that? I earn almost $10,000 a month talking to men.
Yeah, them the ones who pay you. I'm talking about the ones that's the issue. We're not talking about the
They
ones
have
who
issues.
trying to fight for their marriage. When I'm talking to these men,
They're fighting for their marriage.
When I'm talking to when I talk to the men that I'm around, when I'm talking to my friends and I'm talking to their boyfriends too, I'm literally the first person they come and holler at. Those men don't have older men to talk to. They don't have.
Yes, they do.
One dude said he tried. I know men who try to talk to their fathers because y'all have to understand men have evolved a lot. Okay,
I understand you. That I think you're talking about isolated situations. But
no, I'm not.
Hold
on, wait. Let's make sure we keep some orders. Make sure we keep some orders.
I just told you that I do this for a living. Like this is a passive income for me.
Strangers call you.
I'm in the trenches with these dudes. I'm in the trenches with these dudes almost 8 to 10 hours a day.
Do you know them? Honest, I got a question. Do you know these men?
Some of them I don't counsel over 12 times in the year. Problem is making a statement that men are not reaching out for help. I'm just telling her she's fundamentally wrong.
So during the you talking about real quick.
Hold on, Dad, for a second.
Okay, so I'm gonna get to the question in just a second, but I need about 30 seconds just to correct something from probably more than an hour ago. But either way, there was a bad stat given out, and then I corrected it. Then there was a bad stat doubled down on, and I'm just going to correct it for the record, just to be responsible and because it's about integrity. So 38% of black men are not imprisoned, right? The entire population of prison is about 1.2 million, 0.7 of the population, right? 38% comes from the disproportionate amount of black men that are in prison, but there are 20 million of us. So even if all the prisoners, including men and women, it still would never amount to 38%. So I'm gonna leave that there. But to the question about the lack of accountability being the biggest issue, it's not the catalyst, but it's the issue that will cause the other issues to continue to permeate, right? So in my opinion, the biggest issues that we have is, one, the unrealistic expectations that women have going into a relationship of what a man should be. I feel like there's a lot of women who may have ran into their person or someone who would have valued them tremendously, but they friend zoned them, they ignored them, they left them on red, certain things. A man that would actually appreciate them and all of that. And the biggest complaint is that women say, I don't want to lower my standards. But the men who they choose feel like they are lowering their standards. So it's not about lowering standards per se. It's about understanding realistically what you qualify for based on your current circumstances. I think once people get a little more real about what they can actually not just obtain, but retain and do a little bit better vetting, then yeah, we'll be much better off. And secondly, I would say the perceived value that men have lost just in general. Women don't appreciate what a man is. There are plenty of good brothers out here. There are far too many that are not doing their thing, but there's definitely a decent amount to go around. If women are intentional about what it is that they want, and if they put the things that are more important to the forefront, I feel like there's a lot of superficial prerequisites that women look for and men that are going to do them no good in the long run and have nothing to do with sustaining a relationship.
Can we take a moment and just love on Vaughn for a second? That's what I was trying to ask us to do. I think it's big of her to be vulnerable enough to open up on a panel online with a live stream. So Vaughn, I just want you to know, I hate that you're going through what you're going through. Keep your head up. Understand it's not all his fault. It's not all your fault, but we don't want to see your relationship end. And what Sweeney said, I mean, you could throw my name in the hat too. I know you don't know me. You probably don't want me talking to your lover, but I think me and Sweeney and maybe Darwin, even if I don't say nothing, just showing that there's other men that care enough about you to see that your relationship is repaired, then Sweeney, you can throw my name in there and I'll see what I can do to assist. I don't got to be no voice. I could just assist, be some hands and some feet to try to make some things happen.
Don't do it. They're going to take his side and blame you. Like he said, Vaughn, he said, just spend a whole month blaming yourself, then go and apologize to a narcissist. Girl, you need to talk to me. I'll get your mind right. I'll have you dating a whole different kind of breed that'll make your life easy. You ain't got to be stressed out. These men struggling on this panel. They struggling.
I'm gonna go to.
I know you're going on, but I want to correct him. He did correct the wrong. According to the Bureau of Prisons, there are 38.7 Black inmates in prison. That does not mean 38% of Black people. That means of all the prisons, 38% are occupied by Black folks, women and men.
Are you the only one who didn't just understand? I just said that.
Yep. She's the only one that didn't understand. But oh my God, Jesus.